Well, we begin with breaking news and a significant update on a deadly shooting late Friday at a plaid pantry in northeast Portland's Cully neighborhood. It's something police have called senseless violence and, quote, a horrible tragedy.
You know, within the last hour, Portland police releasing photos of the suspect they say should be considered armed and dangerous.
So take a look. This is the man they say killed 57-year-old Ernesto Castellano, who worked at the convenience store on Northeast Columbia. Authorities describe the suspect as a white male in his 20s to 30s, about 5'10" and 170 pounds. Now, at the time, he was wearing a black knit beanie, a black sweatshirt with a print on the front. You can see it there, blue jeans and black shoes.
Anyone who spots him should call 911. DA Nathan Vasquez, by the way, calling this a, quote, sickening, brutal act and also pledging to prosecute anyone found to be helping the suspect. Of course, we will keep you posted.
To Washington County now, where 2 people are hurt and 2 teenagers have been detained after a shooting over the weekend at the well-known Airplane home in Hillsborough.
Let's get right to Celine Stevens with the update. And Celine, it sounds like this started with a giant party.
David, it did. Now, that party happened on Saturday night, and it involved around 100 to 200 people, and it also involved underage drinking, and all that eventually ended up in a shooting. Now, the owner of this Airplane home wasn't here at the time, but he tells me that this violence came as a shock to him.
This is a dark period. It's contrary to the kind of ambiance that I struggle to maintain. So it's like a gut punch. It's devastating.
Around 11:30 Saturday night, the Washington County Sheriff's Office were called out to a large party at the Airplane home on Southwest Holly Hill Road.
Neighbors were calling in, essentially the party that was taking place. And Washington County has a zero tolerance policy for underage drinking.
Up to 200 people were at the party, many of them teens who were underage drinking. People who live on the property but chose not to appear on camera told me at first the party started out calm, but closer to midnight is when things got rowdy, with people yelling and jumping on the wings, prompting them to call the authorities as they tried to get people to leave. After that is when 2 people were shot and taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
The youth festivities need to be considered with a considerably more seriousness to separate elements which may be contributing to misconduct or violence.
Bruce Campbell is the owner of the Airplane home. He was in Japan when the shooting happened and says he did not know the party was going on.
American violence is really frustrating and seems insane, particularly when you live in Japan about half-time. It just doesn't happen here.
Deputies say they've been called out to the home before. Now, Campbell says he's considering implementing stricter rules on the property.
I'm considering serious changes. I don't want to close the project off. Youth needs to have a place to recreate, but it needs to be in a civilized manner.
This pistol was recovered by authorities, and 2 boys, a 16 and 17-year-old, were also detained in connection to the shooting.
When you have that many people at a party, there's witnesses that have not been contacted yet, and we want to speak with them. Some of those individuals probably have cell phone video from at the party, and even if they don't think it's important, we want to talk with them.
So those that live on this property were out here picking up trash this morning, and I saw firsthand some of those trash items did involve empty alcohol containers. Now, they also told me that this is a good place, and most of the people that come by here are unproblematic, and so they don't want this shooting to leave a negative impression again on this Airplane home area, but they also agree that stricter rules just might be needed. Back to you.
Celine Stevens reporting for us live this evening from Hillsborough. Thank you, Celine.
In your headlines this evening, a man is dead after what appears to be a shootout with Marion County Sheriff's deputies. This began, authorities say, after someone called 911 last night to report a disturbance at a home in Aumsville. When deputies went inside, they say Brian Baker had a gun and started shooting at them, so they fired back. They got out of the house and say Baker barricaded himself inside. Then around 2 in the morning, the SWAT team went in and found Baker dead. Authorities believe he died by suicide. No deputies were hurt. Salem police are now leading this investigation.
A month into the war in Iran, and President Trump issued a new threat today saying civilian infrastructure could be the next target. That is, if some sort of deal is not reached. The president said electricity plants, oil wells, and Iran's key oil export hub could all be potential targets. Over the weekend, the president said the 2 countries were making progress toward a ceasefire. But Iran says direct talks aren't taking place and called a 15-point proposal from the White House, quote, excessive, unrealistic, and irrational.
Again, these folks are appearing more reasonable behind the scenes privately in these conversations than perhaps some of the previous leaders who are now no longer on planet Earth because they lied to the United States and they strung us along in negotiations, and that was unacceptable to the president.
Meantime, some 3,500 additional American troops have now arrived in the Middle East.
In an update this evening, Portland Community College says it has given its, quote, last and best offer to faculty members that are still on strike. The college saying the new proposal worth $11.5 million is nearly double the offer that was made last month. The package reportedly includes 2% raises in year 1, 3% in year 2, as well as lump sum payments and changes to health care and vacation benefits. The college is also offering to pay faculty in full this week while they use the time to prepare for the start of the spring term next week. The union telling us they have sent the college a counter proposal and that negotiations continue.
In an update, a federal judge temporarily paused a sale that sought to bring 2 local news stations in Portland under the same ownership. Tegna was KGW's parent company. NextStar owns Coin in Portland. A week and a half ago, the FCC and DOJ signed off on the acquisition, but then on Friday, a U.S. district judge ordered NextStar to keep Tegna's assets separate, pending a review for potential antitrust violations. The order is part of a DirecTV case challenging the merger of the 2 broadcast companies. An in-person hearing is scheduled for April 7th. Joe?
Christine, we are looking at still very pleasant conditions out there. Downtown Portland from our Pioneer Park building camera, temperature is close to 60 degrees, seeing a lot of people enjoying the bricks at this 6 o'clock hour on your last Monday of March. Now, as we look into tomorrow, we'll start to see some changes move on shore. That ridge of high pressure that we saw today is going to push off to the east. We do have a system moving in, bringing in some light showers, a little bit of some snow showers up in the higher country throughout parts of the central and southern part of the Oregon Cascades. By the middle part of the week, traveling over the mountains will be kind of treacherous, so be aware of that. As we put Futurecast into motion, we'll jump into Tuesday morning, starting off with clear skies. Clouds will increase throughout the later part of the morning and into the afternoon. We could be seeing some light showers at times. Rainfall amounts will be on the lighter side until Wednesday. Come Wednesday morning, it's going to be lots of yellows, some oranges, a lot of wind along the coast, a lot of rain in the valley, and a lot of mountain snow. I'll let you know just how much snow is in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, thank you so much, Joe.
Developing this evening, another case of metal theft, this time someone who allegedly stole heavy brass plates from TriMet platforms.
Devin Haskins is live in North Portland, where one of the plates was stolen. Devin, sounds like the suspect apparently caused thousands of dollars in damage.
Yeah, detectives say that he used one of the plates that he stole to pay off a debt to an unknown man, and then the other one he told detectives that he planned on returning. I want to show you what those look like. They're right down here. They're on every Max platform. They're heavy brass plates, about 2x2 in size, with specialized bolts that hold them down. But each one, as you said, worth about $1,000 each. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office shared some video with us from the TriMet platform of the Overlook Park Station. You can see the man stealing one of those brass plates, then put it in his wagon and walk off. 2 days later, court documents say he did it again at the Rosa Park Station, getting away with one while in a wheelchair. He tries to steal a third that same day, but only damages it. This all happened on March 17th and 19th. Last week on the 25th, transit police say they arrested 48-year-old Benjamin Honnell in Beaverton. They say he had one of the plates in his car and had used another to give to a man to pay off a debt.
Right now, there is a hot market for metal, especially in the Portland Metroplex and across the nation. A lot of these folks with ill intent are coming forward and using tools to essentially burglarize these platforms, to steal from them and get compensation from that labor.
Honnell is currently in Multnomah County Jail facing 3 felony charges and a misdemeanor for these crimes. The DA's office says that if he's convicted, he will be sent to a state prison because he is a repeat property offender. They say they're also looking to see if he's connected to other crimes of these brass plates that are said to have been stolen in previous incidents. Now, this is the latest case of metal theft in our area. Just last week, Portland police said they arrested a group of 5 people connected to a copper theft ring, as well as ODOT saying that they had some of their light poles on I-84 stripped of copper wire. Back to you.
Now, in this case, it looks like prosecutors have a laundry list of evidence. Devin Haskins there. Thanks, Devin.
It is official. Washington has its first ever income tax. This morning, Washington Governor Bob Ferguson signed Senate Bill 6346 into law. It is the so-called Millionaires Tax. It imposes a 9.9% tax on people or households making more than $1 million a year. It does not tax the value of assets like homes or property. The law takes effect in 2028 and payments are due starting in 2029. Supporters say the revenue will expand tax relief for some small businesses, fund free school meals, and put money back into the pockets of low-income families through the Working Families Tax Credit Program.
This literally sends a check back to hardworking Washingtonians in the form of a check between $300 and $1,300, depending on the size of their family and their income. It's a great program. We just need to expand it. And with the revenue from the Millionaires Tax, we're adding 460,000 working families who receive that tax credit every single year.
Opponents have said this could be the gateway to a broader income tax. They're worried about that, and they also plan to challenge the constitutionality of the law in court. Republicans have also said they're exploring a voter repeal effort.